Okay, oops. Let me put my tea down here. All right. What's up, everybody? I'm MrGlasco. This is MrGlasco TV. It is Tuesday, April 2nd, 2019. I am sick, but I still feel like streaming. Because why not, right? Let's see if I can even handle it. I took some NyQuil at 9 p.m. It doesn't really affect me too much, but still, I'm interested to see, like, worst case scenario. This would be a benchmark if I'm sick, if I can even, should I even bother, right? So far, I feel okay. I'm starting to get the sweats from from taking NyQuil, and then you know your body wants to try to sweat it out, even though my temperature's warm, and then I'm drinking tea, and then I got a blanket on. But that's how you fight it. That's how you fight it. Oh yeah, we're gonna play some more. Play some more Sekiro. Shadows die twice. So it should be fun. We made a lot of progress yesterday. I beat the horseman dude and the butterfly lady. Only after getting some help because I was lost. I didn't know how to go. I didn't know that I was supposed to go deep down into the valley where the snake was. So I was like, where am I supposed to go? Am I just supposed to beat this? Am I supposed to try to beat this butterfly lady? Even though she's like outclasses me like crazy. Hold on. All right. Boop, boop. Boom, boom, boom. Hopefully everybody else is doing well. Chilling. Whether you're playing this game or not. So I did get a bean from a vendor, so now I have four gourd drinks. And then the furthest I made it, I don't know if is there anything beyond this after you beat the lady? I wonder. Me wonders. Blah. My attack power is too strong for you. This guy gotta say good job for beating that lady.
Listen. Without a snap.
Without this, is she still alive? Do you get to fight her multiple times? Oh, it's a shrine. Oh yeah, so what happened was I got killed. I beat the lady and I got stabbed in the back with a long sword. Much thicker than the sword that I have now. Stabbed in the back, and then that's when the air with the special blood came, and I think that's supposed to be the first time he gave me my resurrective powers. And then that's the end of this memory, I guess. So the furthest I got in this area is the guy with the horse. So let's go there. Before we open that, the vendor that I got the extra gourd for the seed is up here. It looks like there might be some lore up here. Jumped off his dead body. I don't know if there's anything else I'm supposed to get from him. The gourd seed was 1,000.
Care to purchase an offering?
Care to purchase an offering. So this will probably be the next thing I probably try to get from it. Even though 180 doesn't seem like that much for Dragon's Blood Droplet. But I already got the firecrackers, already got the gourd seed, so there's that.
May the departed rest in peace.
May they? Maybe I have the dragon rot. I'm so bad. I'm so bad at the game that I've given myself dragon rot in real life. And we don't have any we don't have any sugar, so I put maple syrup and lemon juice in here. And it tastes more like soup now, which isn't bad. Tastes more like a soup than a tea. See, I went this far last time and I was like, wait a minute. Looks like some lore is about to happen, so let me back out. So let's see what happens. Who's this guy? Hey man.
Another rat.
Don't do it. Don't fight me.
But those eyes. A starving wolf. Before I kill you, tell me your name. Tell me your name!
I'm Wolf, man.
No name to give. You shinobi are all the same. You die nameless, with no one to mourn you. However, your left arm, a prosthetic shinobi arm, it reminds me of... That's it. A one-armed wolf. I like it. Which means Sekiro. That is what I shall name you. Who are you? I am the Tengu of Ashina. Come, Sekiro. Care to hunt some rats with me? What? Rats have snuck into Ashina, scurrying about like they own the place. There are all kinds of rats out there, and they must be cut down. Every last one of them. It seems you have a talent for killing. Allow me to help you hone that talent. What'll it be, Sekiro? Will you hunt rats with me?
I mean, you named me the name that the game is named after, so I feel like I have to accept.
Very well. Excellent. You'll need this if you're with me, Sekiro.
Rat description. A description of the rats they have snuck into Ashina. Speaking to Tengu. Again, once the rat had been dealt with, assassins from Senpo Temple, short stature, wear bamboo hats. Number of rats are lurking about. Last seen around Ashina Castle Gate.
What is this? The face of a rat, and where it makes its home. Go and kill it. If you do, I will give you something that will aid you in battle.
Okay. Did I already kill it? I think I might have already killed it.
Go and kill it. If you do, I will give you something that will aid you in battle.
Okay, maybe not. Short in stature. Straw hat. Where can I find that description again? Excuse me, sir. Rat description. How do I get the rat description? Rat description. I don't see anything that says rat description. Whatever. Something about a straw hat and he's short by the front, by the gates. Which gate? There's like so many gates. What gate you talking about, man? I don't know if there's anything here for me. Should also probably I need to take more screenshots because I didn't have a good one for last one, so it looked like basically looked the same as the part 2, my part 3 screen or thumbnail. Cat. Any way to skirt around this guy? Like a true shinobi would? Ow! Ow, my face. Are those the rats?
It seems Ishin's illness is indeed grave.
The land of Ashina will not last much longer, even with Genichiro on our side. What about our other mission?
Black Hat is fighting like a demon by the Serpent Valley side of the castle.
Then that's where we're going next. But keep your wits about you. The Black Hat Badger won't go down without a fight.
The Black Hat Badger, eh? Could that be the one we're searching for? Ah! Ninja! Look at this guy. Maybe that was the guy? He had a different kind of hat. He had like a bowl. Wait. Bruh. Let's see if I can break your hat. Oh. Ow! Stop! Ouch! You. Ow. Don't do it! Ah! My back. Ow. How do I beat this guy? Sir. All right. Time to throw all the dirty tricks. So that. So that. So that. Burn alive. Ow. I thought the hat would split from the axe. Okay. I wonder if I reset because I'm about to. Oh wait, his hat's metal now. I don't think it was metal before. What happened? Did he upgrade? Stop! Oh wait, now it's not metal. Interesting. That was tougher than some of these bosses. I was like, his head's metal. Wait, no, it's not. Correction. That guy clearly is despawned now, right? Oops. Don't shoot me. How far can I throw this dust? Ah! I want to be a better shinobi. Like using all the tricks of the trade. I fight too honorably. I'm gonna let them go about their business. They're fine. I should have checked beneath me. Oh God! I got something for you, doggy. Doggo. Where are you? Cha-cha! Oops, wrong one. Hi. Did he give me some coin? I will pay you to fight me. Does he know I'm here? Stop. I'm pretty sure I can land on that branch over there. I don't know if I can reach it though from this distance. This guy's smart. When you reset, when you see reset from your aggro range, you do it backwards. This guy's doing it right. Pro tip. Henchman pro tip. If you ever grow up and want to be a henchman, do what this guy does. Follow this guy's example. What? Oh, God! He's too good. Let's see what's over here. Watch a snake just come up and just like, ah, go. This is for my eye, you bastard, but I have no more depth perception. Well, actually, he wouldn't have it anyways, right? When your eyes aren't that far apart, I always wonder, like, how does depth perception work? And his tongue actually should have been the primary means of him sensing his environment. Axe are the spears in Dark Souls. His stuff precisely. Axe could do more damage. Yeah, but his hat turned into a metal for a second there. I don't know what. That's like a special move of his. Can I just please assassinate somebody, please? Is that too much to ask for? Is that the guy? Was there two more guys? There's the last one. What's that noise? Is it the tree? Tree creaking? We can get this guy just for fun. Just for funsies. Anybody else? Oh, whoop. Where did he come from? Where was he when I jumped on the guy that was right over here? Was he using the potty? I feel you, man. What's up, Elon? Yeah, now you're on it. The correct YouTube. Oh yeah, and I made this. Alexa, start streaming routine.
I'm not sure.
Start streaming routine.
Roger that. Hello, and welcome to the stream. This is Alexa, and I'm here to assist Mr. Glasco with his live production, and to periodically remind all of you to like, share, and follow. Thanks for watching, and we hope you enjoy the stream.
We're good, right? Yeah. And then now she's on a 45-minute timer to check back in. It was 30 minutes yesterday, but I felt like it was coming into, it was like spamming. So I cut it down to 45 minutes to see how. Now I don't have to say those words. I don't have to sound, I don't have to feel icky. For selling out. Let Alexa do it for me. Oh, never mind, Alexa. Sorry. I was thinking about saying her name, though. Okay. So there's that guy. This guy is being the cheeky little guy. Hiding behind the corner there. I see you. I see you there. Sir? What is that face? Does he have glasses too? He's like, I'm about to mollywop whoever comes around this corner. Oh, God! Oh, look, there's a guy there. So we have 3 guys. Boom, boom. Go to the other guy. Hello. Is there anything in here? Did you get that thing? That sent you. So let's see if we can do this. Let's see if we can lure this guy over here. So he's gonna come over here to investigate, out of sight from the other guy around the corner. That way I could get the jump on him, maybe. Does he know where I am? I feel like he does. Escape! Ninja vanish! I cut him off while he's backing up. Down. Oops, someone else saw me. Who is that? Look at this guy. Gasuna. Shasha! Does anybody else want a piece of the Ninja Warrior? Can't be too careful about these corners. That big guy was smart enough to stay there, unless somebody told him there. It's like, hey man, stay at this corner. You'll be surprised what's gonna happen. What's up with these bridges to nowhere? Doo-doo. Eavesdrop.
We're really planning to use that thing? In the battle. I know. But what choice do we have? Desperate times call for desperate measures. We're in no position to worry about what others might think.
Yes, but...
Hey, keep it together, soldier. Keep talking like that, and they'll put you on its detail. And when it's mad, it doesn't discriminate between friend or foe.
When it's mad. How ominous. Didn't I already fight one of these things? You're telling me there's like a different version of whatever you got me fight last time? Okay, who do I want to get? I want to say the guy with the gun. Because if I start fighting the guy with a sword, while I'm fighting the guy with the sword, the guy with the gun is just going to take my shots. So, Shasha! Alright. Uh-oh, more of these destructible towers. I think that they're just pretty much there for the effect of a boss slamming through it, so you could be like, oh my god! Oh no, he's so powerful! And these edges, it looks like I can hold on to them, but they're just out of reach. I mean, they're very out of reach. Help! Ah! Ow. Wait. Ow, God, why aren't you dead? Oh my God. Okay. Wait. Chill, man, chill. Okay, we have this. There's no like opportunity for me to like hook shot or anything. Ow. 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 Ugh. So I feel like jumping off the wall is probably my best thing to kind of juke. Oh god! We're jumping off him, but then there's no like counter. It's still too agile. Ow. Okay. Yeah, I gotta figure out a pattern of what, because I could jump off him, I could jump off the wall, and I just gotta figure out how to, when he misses me, how to counter to get to him. Oh God! Shh, guys, that's on nothing. Can I just jump from here? Woohoo! Can I make it over there? Oh, I just have to drop from here. Qu'est-ce que c'est? Candy. See, here I do have to. Ah, oh, come on. Tactical retreat. Looks like I could eavesdrop on these guys, but I don't see any eavesdrop opportunity. Oh! I almost missed that. How'd I get this guy? Oh, God. It's this guy that saw me, not the big guy. Do, 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 do. Okay, so I need to get the guys that are there. I need to get them dead quick, and then just go in on my man's on the bull. Ow! Stop! React to my... Ow! React to it! This is a... Oh my god. It's like I only really hate fireworks when I'm ready to be afraid of them. Not when I was stupid jumping. Oh god. Blah. Let me think. I need like a straight down attack. Oh dang it. Okay, so I can do wall jump to that. I don't even know if that's... I need to be consistent with it. There's that I could try. There's this. I could try. There's that I could try. The biggest thing is if I could find when I'm supposed to throw these out. If I could just figure out when I'm supposed to do that, then I'm golden. He has to be in a state of not attacking, not moving, not out of range. What else? Is there maybe a skill I could use? Let's see. I could try for this so that I could use the firecrackers more. Mid-air prosthetic. Mid-air prosthetic is actually, that would be great. Because this is basically mid-air firecrackers. Boom. As opposed to having to stand still, be like, hit me please. Fire crap boom.
Please say no.
So 3. Let me see if the farming still works here. Because I can only assume that you get the higher level you are, the more diminished returns you get for the skill point acquisition. Skirt. As you can see, I've perfected this route. For farming. Oops. Oops, quiet. This guy's always a little tricky. I think it's the items on the floor that let you stand at barely various elevations and it like throws off the auto kill. I've alerted the chicken. So if you're ever down a small amount of skill points or you need gold, I suggest doing this route. I want to target the guy sitting first. Ah. even when you mess up, it's not too punishing. Go there. Yeah. We started out with 1 and now we're barely 2/3. Let's try one more. Two-thirds skill point, which is that blue, this blue bar. Trying to see how fast we can get that leveled up so we can get more moves. Ah! Ah! Always go for the guy with the hammer axe thing first. Because he's too much of a tank. Same here. You would think this would make me better at the game, but it's not really. It's just all muscle memory for this particular part. Maybe. Maybe. Maybe when it comes to entering sliding into cover, sliding behind people, maybe. Okay. Almost to level 2. I guess we'll take it over. We could just do that wherever. I don't know if I want to buy anything with 2 skill points though. I think I need 3. I think the number we're searching for is oh god, no, don't shoot! Oh god. Oof, I almost messed it up. Easy peasy. Guy right there. How do I get around him? Can he see me if I'm up against this wall? Nope. This periphery is garbage. What are we trying to do? Firecrackers. Barely. So we're gonna try wall jump into, oh god. Wall jump into special attack on top of it. With the camera being our worst enemy in this fight, I think. Worse than the bull. And the extra guys. At least last time they both died. Here, let me actually lure him here. Let me guarantee. Guarantee I kill one of them. Look like Ronan the Accuser. Ronan the Accuser of blankets. What am I gonna do? Doop. Running, running, running. Dang it. Come on. Okay, a few more practices. I got. Okay. Let's go. Boom, dead. Ow! Ah, God! Ah! Help! Okay. Ow. Oh, just tank through that, why don't you? Oh, God! Of course. Okay, let's see how you do in the corner, my mans. I can't hit him! Of course you can hit me, though. That's fun. Oh my god! Oh. In theory, my strategy is sound. I have him trapped in the corner where he has terrible mobility. And I'm doing a special move on top of his head, but I'm whiffing every time. Can you not, please? Sorry. God dang. Okay, that move's just not working. It came so close so many times. I was like barely whiffing. And I could actually reposition it in the air. See, I could switch backwards. I don't have to only swing away. So as he went under me, especially in the corner there, I can switch back, but his range is garbage. Okay, so let's try. Let's keep experimenting. So that one. That second swing right there might hit. I feel like the first one still misses. The first one still misses, but then the second one hits. And we got this one. I feel like that might work, but it's very greedy. I need to just one tap him, bounce, jump off the wall, one tap him, jump off the wall, firecracker him, jump off the wall. I feel that's the master strat. Thing is, I'm also running. Oh, never mind. I was about to say I'm also running out of these clay pots. Not really. Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit lonely. Turn around, bright eyes. Amen. See, if I do it this way, I don't even have to use the pot. Alert! Ninja! Sha-sha! Your periphery is garbage, son. Let's go for this guy. It wasn't that bad. Thin guy has the garbage reaction time. Ashina Castle. I can run past them. I'm kind of also trying to get my skill. Which one's the one I want? I need to be sitting at a shrine to show you, but I want the mid-air. Mid-air. What's it called? prosthetic, so I can jump and then shoot my firecrackers. I feel like that is actually, if there's like checkpoints in progress, I feel like that's an actual checkpoint for this boss. Midair, firecrackers, he goes quite crazy. I'm supposed to start standing in his face. So slowly but surely, I'm getting more skill points for that, as opposed to farming them. Hey, man. I wonder if I can... Oh, never mind. Oh, God, help, bull! Oh, God, too much help! Ow. Ow. Ah! 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 So like using the wall is, I feel like, key here. Ow. Maybe the face kick. Oh, just ignore it. That's great. No, I'm not there to hit you. No. See, look at that. I avoided by kicking off his face, kicking off the wall, all that good stuff. Ole! Ow! Oh, the blast. Someone's gonna. Some people about to get dragon rot. Okay. I feel like this would be good here. It's not gonna like make me instantly win the fight, but it's gonna be very valuable. I feel like if I could get it, because then I could just kind of jump in, jump off the wall, jump towards him, do it in the air, find the staggering so that even if he's charging, maybe I have to do it before the charge, during the charge, after the charge, but at least I have the mobility of being in the air to do this, the firecrackers with this. So I just need one more for that. What else? Maybe this later on so I can use more, but we're talking 6 at that point. Stay up his ass. Yeah. My go-to spot for enemies are their ankles. Because I feel like even from a designing standpoint, they just don't have... It's hard to justify his movements that would get you off his ankles if you were on them. He seems pretty mobile. I only wish that they kind of gave you a hook shot with this guy. This one, maybe for the mobility, to roll and get behind him. Like dash to the thing. Kind of like with the boss that was in this field. Every time he banked really hard, you got an opportunity to hook shot him. I feel like that's missing with this bull. Keep behind him. All right, we'll try. Snake in the booty. Just like the Dark Souls boss. Easy. Quickly! Oh no, they got in before. You're in here trapped with me now, bye. My mans. Don't do it. Don't do it! Ah! Okay, to the booty. I feel bad now. Oh, oh!
Hi, it's me again.
Oh,
If you
God.
like what you're watching, then please remember to like, share, and follow. Thanks again for watching.
I'm trying to dash past him when he's had his head down like that. I need to heal. Still like him in the corner. Ow. Oh my god. Oh my god. I rolled the exact opposite of how I was supposed to do. Okay, fine. Ignore my fireworks. Or maybe this corner? Oh god, how'd he turn it around so fast? Oh god! Dang it. Okay, I can see how that could work. I just need to figure out how to get past his head thrust. Dash doesn't seem to work. Maybe jumping? But even when I do the jump off of his head, it doesn't actually take me behind him. It kind of just takes me straight up. Woohoo! Just kidding. Shock and awe. Firecrackers as he charges. Ouch! I firecracker, he did nothing. Oh my god, that's the one. It's like straight up. I mean, I guess going backwards is firecrackers! It's a Jacob, how am I liking the game? It's nice. Oh god! I can appreciate that everybody has their kind of go-to strategy to go against them. It's not kind of like it's like everybody's different, unique. More so maybe with fighting the regular guys than the bosses. Bosses seem to be able to be cheesed if you find the right flavor, so to speak. What was that noise? When you go up against the mini bosses, I feel like those are the more satisfying ones, in my opinion. I don't have to worry about these guys, so I'm gonna just take name my mind, prepare myself. What do I want to do? Screw you, play! I hate when you miss it. Oh wait, no, I can't go that way. Skirt! Let's reset. I could see if you did a boss correctly without finding a cheesy way to fight it, how it would be also very satisfying, but oof. Oof. How far am I? I am at the bull. I beat the guy on the horse, I beat the lady, the butterfly lady. So I have an attack power of 3, which is nice. Is there mid-air? I need a mid-air utility throw also. Blah. Don't shoot me! Good. Good. See if I can hide here. Oh God! Ah, come on. Ow. Stay on that ass. Oh god. Ah! Got away from me. So I was staying on the ass, but I wasn't doing any damage. Oh god, here we go. Phase crazy. Oh wait, what? I staggered it. Was it the backstabs? It had to have been the fact that I was behind it, hitting it. Thanks for the pro tip, Chris. Yes! Medicine rank 2. There is a lock-on, but I was finding the lock-on was more towards his front, and I was trying to stay behind his horns. So I just decided not to manually go after that booty. Because I was constantly sidestepping.
Sounds like he's calmed down.
Oh god.
What? The enemy is still alive!
You die now. Wouldn't it be so? How salty could you imagine someone beating the thing, and then sidestepping too much, and then have this attack to close the distance, but it would then put me like next to him instead of behind him. So I had to manually try to trigger this, and then sometimes it worked, sometimes because it was sometimes I don't hit it. Like I tried to hit it there, it didn't work there, so kind of lucked out. We did the fight right, not too cheesy, just staying behind it. Hey, who's this? Hi. Wait, is this another person that's gonna be a bell to go back in time? Back in time. Should I save first? Excuse me, lady. I'm gonna go ahead and activate this first. Thank you. Oh yeah, there's another memory. The pink stuff, I skipped it. I skipped the crap out of that. No, on purpose.
Thank heavens. Thank heavens.
For what do you pray?
Oh, you there. Have you heard of the Senpo Temple? The Senpo Temple on Mount Kongo. A very special holy person lives in that place. Go on. Join me in prayer. Thank heavens. Thank heavens.
No, never. No, never. So let's, just so that we don't get confused, maybe we're supposed to learn something off of that first one. I think it was here. There's a thing there. Don't you spot me. I should be able to do a sneak attack from this range. Chop off his feet. Just whoosh. Nope. Guess how many nopes you're gonna get, friend. I'm about to hit this one guy, but didn't realize he's on a miniature patrol. Ow! Jeez. That's tough. Nope. If you would have shot like my feet, see if you can get my crotch. Right through the hole. It's a glory hole. See the disclaimer. You never know who's on the other side of these things. Gotta be careful. Hey, pretty boy. Feel like he knows where I am. Okay, no, he doesn't. Drop down. Ow. I'll take you on. Sneaky sneak. Right here. Just to say.
We managed to drive them back once, but the Interior Ministry's army is far too powerful.
And that is why you wish to use the power of my blood. It doesn't matter how much power you obtain. You'll keep on fighting until you're a monster, incapable of feeling pain or fear. I do not wish to corrupt the lives of men.
Look at this mountain of bodies. Ashina cannot be defended by normal means. Not anymore.
I could never be as strong as you, Lord Kenichiro. I do not yet know what it is I should do.
It has been a long time since that happened. Wait all you like. It'll do you no good.
So, I feel like I'm supposed to kill the boy, so that me and this guy, I feel like me and this guy have regenerative powers. The boy's gonna be like, kill me, so that you guys are once again mortal. And then we're gonna do a last fight. Obviously, though, if you do die during that last fight, or they're gonna do it so that you kill the guy, the boy's still alive, but before the guy resurrects, he's like, okay, now you have to kill me before he resurrects. And you should also be mortal. If I had to guess. Something dramatic. Why did I do that? Oh, I was like, why am I going this way? For the memory, doy. Next memory. I sat at the fire. I sat at the fire. Sorry, my voice. It's a different subsection.
Lord Kuro. It is time, Lady Emma. Yes, I know. Master Genichiro is waiting, is he not? I will return to the top of Ashina Castle.
Kisk.
Wolf, that reed whistle we used before. This time, I will use it to call on you.
Okay. So it looks like this path splits that way and that way. Oh, I thought I was dead. Hello, hello, what's all this then? Okay, I was aiming for that tree over there, but okay. Is it just me, or should I have been able to see it? Coin purse. Oops. Pardon.
I heard you were the one that put the armor on that big bugger from Taro Troop.
Yeah, he was making a stink about it. It was a damned awful job.
But it looks like it paid off, didn't it? He already had a huge frame and massive strength, and you just made him near impervious to blades.
That is true, but he doesn't like that armor. And he sure didn't like me putting it on him. When a fight happens, it might come off easier than you think.
Okay. So knock armor off big man before I can actually do damage, or stagger probably. Hello? Back way? Isn't one of the rats that I'm supposed to assassinate just beyond this gate? Unless it's one of the mini bosses these guys are talking about. Okay, house key. My puppies! My puppies! Nani? Okay. Can I skirt past his periphery is the question. If I do, if I can, it's on this side, but I'll make a lot of noise if I jump straight for those boxes. Shh. Sekiro. Chill, man. Or was this the guy? Was that the armor they were talking about? So much for that. Unless there's another guy. Boss fight? It's eerily quiet in here. What's that? What's that? What's this? What's that? What's this? What's that? I feel like it's usually a hard... It's harder to get to one of these. Do I rest and risk resurrecting the people that I've killed so far? Let's see. Hey, look, it's a guy.
Care to purchase an offering?
Another one.
Where you find the departed, you'll find the memorial mob. We, the impure, cannot turn a blind eye to anyone. Go ahead. Buy an offering.
Oh, man. What's the good stuff? Make it a good item. Mask fragment. So the fish guy in the pot has one, I think. I don't know what a mask does. A bead, 1,400. I feel like this is more valuable than this, for me at least. What's prayer beads do again? Vitality. This will give me 3 out of 4 though, so it's not like I'm
Where you find the
already leveling up.
departed, you'll forever your trap.
Yeah. How many coin purses I got? Heavy coin purse. I feel like this is 1,000. So, and then these are 100 a pop, so I got 1,400 right here. Boop. Okay, this one was 500. Oh no, it's overflowing. Overflowing coin purse has 1,000. That was just heavy. Great. Now I've popped these. And if I die, I'll lose. So we just need about 400 more. 400 some change. So we're going to play it safe. And go to our farming area. Because I refuse to lose. Refuse to lose these coins off of Fluke. And if you think about it though, in your mind you can say, oh, this is farming and that's cheap. But in a sense, in an idea, if you think about the idea of this place, it's actually a memory. So me fighting this exact fight that I'm fighting right now is not me going and farming, it's actually me meditating on the past. I'm meditating on the past, and I'm honing my skill by remembering what I did there. Ow. It's kind of like if you're an athlete or whatever, just by trying to remember what you did in the past can help you become better. So if you think about it like that, that shit works. Which is a subtle little thing that this game in general does, where it's like, it approaches amnesia in a way that I think other games can learn from. I mean, I guess there are games out there that do the whole playable flashback. But instead of just having a flashback, make it a one that you can play, one that you can revisit over and over. Basically, have be like a practice mode. Sha-sha! Ow. $1,400. Perfect. Ashina Castle. After my meditation, I awoke. Somehow with more money. Somehow remembering I just reached deeper down in my sock. I actually have a lot of coins in there. It's actually really ridiculous. A part of my inability to fight properly is because I just got coins just randomly stuffed in all my crevices.
Care to purchase an offering?
Yeah, man. Give me that. 5,000 for the mask, though? Jeez.
May the departed rest in peace.
Cheese and crackers. It's this way. Uh-oh. You got bugs. Can I target them? I can. That means they're hostile. Oops. Sorry. Sorry, corpse. The disrespect. Oh, God. They're not dead. Is he gonna get up again? If he gets up again, I'm out of here. Okay. Nope. So my friend, I got a friend that has that ability. You guys should meet him. Maybe he could give you guys a good talking to. Oh, look, another heavy. I didn't have to farm after all. So how do I get his dog before his dog alerts him to me sneaking up behind him? Puppy. Can I use the guy's body? Oh! Yeah. Right between the legs, between the puppy's eyes. Or puppers. Poor pepperoni. I'm dead. Look, there's stuff down there. This place is a pretty big area. It's not just cliffs, there's actually stuff down there. Ashina Reservoir. Wait, were we here before? Is this where we escaped from that one time? Ow! Not these guys. So bad. You gonna jump down here? No, blah. So it looks like you need to hit it multiple times to break it. Blow the whistle on me, will you? Okay. Machinima Castle. Looks ominous. Any bad guys around the bend? Another one. This may, either this is like a major crossroads, or we're getting closer to the end of the game. Doesn't open from this side. Your face doesn't open from this side.
Heard reports of a shinobi being seen somewhere around here. I heard the same, but lately it feels like an everyday occurrence. I know. Goes to show just how soon the battle will be upon us. Even more the reason to take these reports seriously.
Okay. I mean, I guess so. Uppers! No. Climb on top of it. Can I sneak behind them? Guy's deaf. Was he stuck in the animation? All right. Pro tip: if if they're stuck in the investigation animation, they don't hear you killing somebody immediately behind them. So we have our 3 skill points. Do we still want airborne gadget? Hello. Oh god, the guns! Ong, ong. Woo! You guys coming up here? Sir? Ow! Oh, you cheating! You cheesy McCheese face. No. Slashing through the wall, eh? That's more like something Mai would do. Not you. Like there's a thing there. So, if this was Ninja Warrior, the show, I'd be able to jump up there and grab it. Instead, I gotta do this. Ah! Don't hit me through the wall. Please. Just to convince the gamer leaving. I'm going this way. Watch out now. Suckers. Oh, that looks like a boss. Looks like a mini boss. These freaking guys and their freaking guns. These are the shinobi times, sir. So if I drop down, do you think I can grab that? Oh, God! Excuse me? Pardon? Do it. Don't ever do something. Don't ever do something a shinobi tells you to do. Ever. I got a towel over my head. Not feeling too well. It's actually a blanket. Last time I checked, I had a temperature of about, what's up there, 101.3 or so. So I took some NyQuil at 9.
Hello again.
PM.
If you're enjoying MrGlasco's content, then please remember to show your support by liking, sharing, and following on your preferred streaming platform and on social media. Thanks again for tuning in.
Thanks, Alexa. Mystical sword of immense power, maybe, perhaps. What is it? What is it? Where is the? So I did redid my soundboard, so I don't. What am I looking for? Flame horn spear. It's used by Gyobu Misataka Aniwa. Fixed to the shinobi prosthetic Kriya prosthetic tool. Horn tracks to pull enemies in. Also capable of stripping crude armor. Uh-oh. When not during the Baba Yoshi. Oh, you like the Alexa? Stop, Alexa. Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 12:52 a.m.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Let's see. So I need to fix that to my prosthetic so I can rip the armor off that guy, I think, in that tower. You die now, sir. Sir. Interesting. So it looks like I could go behind him, maybe for a backstab, initiate with a backstab. Even though he seems to be, I feel like he'll recognize when I'm right upon him. Doo-doo. Where is the other one here? Okay. This is gonna hurt. Resetting this area is gonna hurt. Because there's a lot of guys, a lot of guns. Oh wait. Man, someone could see me off the jump. The question is, what are we gonna learn? Could do this so we can use our shinobi prosthetic more. We could do airborne shinobi prosthetic. Ripping the guy's armor off from the air could be pretty powerful. Or pulling myself towards him in the air. I don't know how that works. I feel like I gotta get it. I feel like it's the right call. Jump. So can I make the jump? Oh wait. That's how you get behind all of them. So now I'm behind enemy lines. I go in through here, sneak out right here. This guy was watching this guy's back. Not sure if there's somebody watching your back. Nope. Oh, there's a guy right here. What are you even doing, dude? What you doing there, bud? Just hanging out? Oh wait, I need to go get this prosthetic on. What am I doing? There's no point even trying to fight that guy up there. I know there's at least one other guy. Because if I just kill the sword guy, there's another guy with a oh, there he is in the corner. Now the real question, what are you doing? You watching this corner? 100% clear this area, except for those guys up there with the dogs. I need. Oh, there's another guy. Now it's 100%. I wonder if it's better to farm this area now. It's not as fast-paced as the other area. Maybe I can make it fast-paced. But I wonder if I get more points for those bigger guys. Travel to the dilapidated. Yeah, I'll probably get off actually here. Should I try fighting the guy first? No, I'm gonna be addicted to trying to kill him if I do. Sucked in to kill him, even though he does look kind of like a mini boss. So maybe we take him out and then I'll call it.
You need something?
At least he's not coughing. New prosthetic. Spear. Upgrade. Spinning shuriken. An enhanced shuriken that can be empowered with rotational energy, cost spirit emblems to use, damage an enemy's vitality and posture, does huge damage to jumping enemies, taking a moment to further bend the spring and build rotational energy will cause the blade to rotate after landing, damaging the enemies multiple times and hit, similar to a spinning top, but with blades. Okay. Firecracker upgrade with a spring mechanism, cause spirit emblems to use. Unleashes a loud explosion and bright flash, which cause foes to recoil and inflict posture damage on beast-type enemies. Charging up the spring mechanism adds rotational energy when spreading the fireworks, affecting enemies in all directions. Spinning firecracker, spinning shuriken. But then there's this. Making them cause a spirit enemy use far-reaching thrust attacks later. So I feel like for the sake of this, and even this, I just have to suffer this. $400.
Another time, then. I'll lend you shelter anytime.
Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Stepdad. I have another dad. He's dead, according to my memory. Yeah, this guy might have a bead, too. Wah, 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 wah. Yeah, I like how this game, it plays with memory and maybe even me going back. It's like maybe I'm not traveling at all. Maybe I'm just meditating. Maybe it's all a hallucination. Shh. It's like, what the? I thought this break allow. Is Big Mama gonna come all the way up here? Or no? Oops. Ow. Ah. Ouch. Stop. Reset. Actually, let me use the restroom here. So I gotta pee. I drank this whole super big cup of tea twice already. So let me do that. BRB. All right. And we're back. Got my blanket nice and wrapped around me. I feel a lot better, but you know, when you go to sleep and you wake up with a throat full of nails, it's kind of dependent on how you feel going to sleep. So I kind of want to kill everyone here because just in case the fight with this guy requires me to spin in shuriken. Just in case the fight with this guy requires me to make use of, you know, just getting out and about and around. Turn around. Is he gonna be surprised by the dead body? No. All right. I would push that guy off. Killing him with a sword is a mercy. I would have pushed him so hard that it would have cleared that lower level. Like, what? Any other hiding guys up here? Oh. Okay, he's a twofer. He's got a double. He's like, hey, everybody, wait, hello? Hello, everybody. Just gotta shoot this at him. Oh, this is where I came. Yeah, this is where I got him the first time, except it was nighttime.
Wolf, you said to me once, do what must be done, but I have yet to discover what it is that I must do. I don't understand. Why was I granted this power?
You are the sacrificial lamb. Ow! Ow, God. Jesus. Is he gonna walk backwards? Dang it! I was trying to spear his armor. Maybe this guy doesn't have armor. Maybe the shack immediately previous to this guy isn't an indicator that he has armor to pull off. Maybe I just gotta beat him like I would any other guy with a spear. But yeah, definitely gotta clear this area. Otherwise, I'll be taking pot shots by all these guys. Oh. Really? So, Jason, I mean, I'm feeling okay. Not feeling the worst. That's usually reserved for the morning time. I took NyQuil at 9 p.m. So, if you take it every 6 hours, I'd be due at 3 a.m. So maybe to make sure my morning isn't a terrible experience, maybe I'd take it again at 3. Yeah, appreciate it. Ah! We're fine. Go up. The bull, yeah, I beat the bull. He was tricky. Just had to stay behind him. This is after it. I'm just trying to take up this mini boss at the top of this hill and then call it a night-a-roni. Come on, turn around. God dang it! Woo, woo, woo! He's staggered! He's staggered! Why am I not killing? Oh god! Oh no! Oh! Oh! His posture was gone. Freaking kill him! Woo. Ouch. Ow. Ow. Ow, my entire being of existence. Dang it. I hate that the autumn, like the death blows don't, for lack of a better term, snap. Like you should be snapped on to your closest death blow until you really go out of your way to get it out of your view, your field of view. You should kind of be snapped on, but I guess. I used the firecrackers. Only when he got out of position for me to stay behind him. I had to manually stay behind him. Locking on kind of keeps you more towards his side and front. So for me, I found it easier to manually trying to stay literally in between his booty cheeks. Almost making it more like if you want to practice it, just try to stay, like hold down sprint and just try manually using your camera, just manually dashing and just try to stay right in his butt cheeks. And then before long, you'll be like, okay, I see it. This is the sweet spot. And then you go in. Oh. Rat row. You're gonna come up here in my house? Shasha. Let me see. I guess I could use feathers on this guy. Okay. This area is now secure. I guess if I want him to not have the high ground, take him away from the stairs, bring him all the way over here, and then kind of play with this up and down with the ability to hook shot, and he'll be in my house. That's the strat. Yeah. But still, if I stay up there, I feel like I'll be at a disadvantage because there's nowhere to hook shot for quick escape. should be pretty good now. His range on that weapon though is kind of insane. All right, my man. Let's go. Unless he brings the dogs over though. Oh, you know what I could do? Hold on. I don't think the spear is for you, friend. But maybe. Just maybe. Ow! Oh, wrong thing. So is it still getting on him? I feel like it should still get on him. The range on this is ass. Okay, we're just gonna stick the feather. Stay down here, man. Chill with that. How about some dirt? I'm just embarrassed. Come on. Sekiro, chill, man. Throw it. Ow. Ow. Help. Where is he? I don't know if I got this. Hope. Poke. 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 Ah! You asshole! I got hit by the wind. Really has a follow-up to that if I go in. Ah, what am I stuck on? Stick a tree? Okay, we're taking this guy down. And I'm not fighting him straight up. I'm gonna poke. Poke until he gets to a stat, like a point where he's finished a move, and then I'm gonna do the cartwheel. Cartwheel of slash. So that spear has range and a swing on it that I don't even want to mess with. I don't even want to mess with the ins and outs of where you're supposed to stand and how fast he can get his spear to you, because I feel like it's very fast. Ooh. Almost landed on that. Almost landed on that freaking wagon. That would have alerted him. Easy. I think that's where I messed up last time. Bleh. Now watch your step. Watch your step, my mans. All right. Do I go for the dogs? No, I shouldn't be. Looks like he starts backing up after if I reach that point anyways. Could try using the feather, but that's a whole nother timing aspect that will take me learning it and this dying. As opposed to the poke. Old Faithful. One poke. Go in. One poke, back out. Poke, back out. Poke, back out. So we're killing him with health. Take that. Can I use this brick or this, oh god. What if he breaks it? It's like slices in half. Break all this crap. Oh god! It's coming! These things are gonna stop me, and I'm gonna be like, God damn it! Break this for me. Okay. How about this one? Thank you. Shoot. Ah! There's definitely a follow-up to that. If I go in, he'll just yank his spear up. Come on. Oh, God! Ah! I dodged it. Then I didn't dodge it again. I didn't do damage. Dang it. I was hoping maybe his aggro would be lost. Alright, dude. Spear is so overpowered of a weapon. Ah, the follow-ups! There's nothing that could close that distance fast enough for it to be worth it. Except for maybe that. I gotta get out there like I'm a crazy person. We got damage! Alright. This is at my last health. Damn it! I already died? Oh yeah, I waited. Okay. Alright. When is go-in time? He has too many of those invincible moves. In my opinion. Get all this crap out of here. Especially like it's one thing to have an invincible move, but then you have a invincible move that you actually follow up with an invincible move, preemptive, that the first one won't actually make contact. That also is kind of like, really? What's up, kill shot, white towel on head. It's actually a blanket, because I'm sick. Really? It's a blanket because I'm sick. I actually have a fever, a little bit of a fever, 101.3 last I checked. But I got that feels that that make you feel colder than you actually are. Whoops. I got them feels. I don't want to sleep and get rest because I'm stubborn. I'm a stubborn bastard. Shasha, motherfuckers! I'm so stubborn that when people get an idea of how stubborn I am, they're like, man, he's stubborn. Yeah, I'll get some. Let me take care of myself. I got the NyQuil and tea and the blanket. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of maybe overdoing it a little with the streaming at the same time, but I'm also getting a I'm stress testing. Oh! Maybe it is time to. Dang it. I'm just stress testing. I'm a stress tester.
Hi again. Alexa here. Mr. Glasgow really appreciates all of you and your support. And don't worry, I'll give everyone a break from reminding you to like, share, and follow.
Thanks, Alexa.
Oops, never mind.
So I have her do that, so I don't have to do it. That's what that is. What? We have to get rid of all this. Oh no! could try feather, but I feel like you gotta time it right. And once you're in, you gotta commit. Should I try manually fighting this guy? No. Stop. Drop. Shut him down. Open up shop. Destroy this fence. Back up off me, boy. Would it have worked? I don't know. I don't know if the move counts at the end of the feathers, at the beginning of feathers, during the feathers. I don't know. Try to get the flank. Alrighty then. Would you just walk on by, please? Wounded. Oh, are you stuck? Are you stuck up there? Can you come down here? Oh, he's stuck. Oh God! Don't jump down. Aww. Of course, he uses the one move that goes below the ground. Dang it. This guy like nicks me with his freaking spear and it's like game over. If I'm up here. Oh yeah! It's gotta be a sweet cheesing spot. Oh my God. I quit this guy. I have to figure out either a spot where I could kind of get some moves out on him. I don't know if I can get him stuck because he retreats too fast from whatever. Let me think. Everything he does is overpowered and almost invincible. So even if I could teleport into him with one of these, get a perfect slash on him, I kind of have to get out fast before he starts swinging it around like crazy and hits me. If I could figure out a way to get in and get out safely, I feel like I got it. But I can't. Everything is almost invincible. I don't even think the feathers can go through his perfect swing or whatever. Death blow swings. Okay, maybe one more time. One more time, maybe. guy is harder than any boss. Kill these two guys while that guy's turned around. Can I get to him in time before he turns around? Screw this. I refuse to mess up my health for some straight up fight. Some scrubster. Whoa! Whoa! God, how'd you know it was coming this way? Cheeky buggers. Like, there's a route that goes up this way. Why, when they saw me hook shot up this way, would they go up this way of all ways? You better back up. What else could I use? I could use one of those. So I watch your back, brother. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're clear. I'm gonna go continue looking in this corner. Let me just put my sword away. Turn my back really quick. There we go. Perfect. Keep investigating this corner. Bleh. All that's clear. There. Can't get close to them to do any of that. I feel like the only viable one is feathers. Maybe spear? Maybe I do actually equip that and use it. I feel like I'm gonna run out of spirit emblems before. Cost one? So it costs one, whether I hit it or not. Come on. Did you just buck at me? Did I just lose? I lost to the buck off. You know why he has that move? He has that move because of the stairs. Not because... Oh god! Oh god! I was blocking! This is it, the last... I wonder if there's a way to get him back here. Ah, my god. Jumping so weird when you're on a hill and you're side strafing because you're locked on. There's no... I don't feel comfortable anywhere during that fight. Except... Oh god. Except while everyone's gone. I mean, other than him backing away, I guess I feel comfortable that he's backing away, but then everything he can do is so ridiculously. Where is he? Is he coming up? What sucks about this guy is just like there's no sense of there's no unnecessary sense of urgency like you do with a boss fight, but he's way more formidable than any boss, regardless. It's ridiculous. He's way more capable than any boss fight without the sense of urgency. Didn't even get the prompt. I did that off of instinct. Maybe if I try reversing his regular spear moves, but the timing is like screwing me up. And they can switch interchangeably between a death blow move so seamlessly. Is there anything in here maybe? Secret to this guy's downfall. In one of these books. All right, so this is kind of I'm kind of trying to rely on this to close distance, which is that. It doesn't do it fast enough. It could be a skill later, maybe? Hold up. There's a crawl space right there, but you can't get to it from up here. Is that a secret? I don't think you can go up ladders. There's a ladder right here. My immersion. All right, man. Destroy all this crap. Oh, God. Wait, why is this back to me? I was about to say, did I bug it out? Can I sneak up on him there real quick? Let's see. Oh God! Maybe. I feel like no. Ah! Try running and getting a manual back attack. As soon as I commit, it's almost as if it's going to be an input read for him to attack. What's scary is that sometimes their moves track to you, so even though I'm running in and out of his range, there's still a chance that he could get me based on ants. Ow. Yeah, there's no way. I'm gonna save these 3 for the next time I die. I'm not gonna heal anymore on this life. This guy is the most capable bad guy ever. It must be the spear. Oh my God! Oh my God. Has to be the spear. I basically have to do that, but I don't know if I have enough spirit emblems to make it work. We're doing it! Get the invincible move. Trick is to run side to side. To run in and out, it takes too long to do the U-turn. Don't trust that one. Crap! Oh god. We're doing it! Only 6 more attacks though. So you only can fight this guy with another spear. Spear versus spear is basically what I'm getting the gist of how I'm understanding this fight. I should attack right there. Ah. Okay. Oh god, I almost got stuck on that hill. No, he blocked it. I can't afford you to block any of my moves. Come on. Come on. Come on. One more. And we got him down right where we want him. That's it. Is there any other way for me to gain spirit emblems? Oh, I can use this for an instant heal. Could take this candy maybe. Oh, he didn't like that. He's like, "What'd you just say to me? What'd you just sign to me?" Oh wait, I can't use any of these. I was about to say, can the axe have that same range? Oh, the candy already wore off. Okay, straight up fight, no invincible moves. All right, ready? Frick, man. And another thing, when I get resurrected, do I get my spirit emblems back? Because if I do, then that's how we win. I have to hit him with all 15 or 16 spirit emblems, spear attacks. Yeah, 16. die, get them replenished, and then hit them with all of them again. The only way. The only way, in this humble shinobi's opinion, to do this. The only other way that maybe, if you don't get it replenished upon death, is you have to get the upgrade and the skills. You have to get the upgrade to get more spirit emblems to be able to be used. Basically a way to milk you. Milk you for your gameplay time. We can do this. Wait, what am I going this way for? Oh. Yeah. Turn around. Bright eyes. I was going to turn around at the most opportune time. Could have ran after the dude, but yeah, he probably would turn on me. That's one of them scary dudes. Even as you're killing him, he's just laughing it off. Trying to think, how else can I hack this spirit emblem thing? Room to run, unimpeded. Oh! Oh God! Definitely can strike me through the floor there. Definitely guaranteed, 100%. So that was close. All right, ready? Meow. Need the other one. I could try to follow up there, but I feel like it's gonna get punished instantly. If not by a block and then attack, by attack straight up. Skirt. 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 Oh no, I wasted it. try for every move he does. That's that one. Every red indicator move looks like it's blockable or counterable. Ah! Oh, da! Ah! That was so close. I need more space to run. It's gonna trap me against these walls. Do another move. We need to keep that back and forth going until he's staggered. Fully staggered out. Oh god, don't do that. That slows me down so much. Ah! I'm supposed to parry that. It looked like it took a lot of effort. You shouldn't have been able to parry right away. Oh, that was close. There it is. One more. That's it. Now we have to die to see if we get it back after death. If we do, we got it. I mean, I'm gonna try to give it my best, but you saw how it's been going. Can I do like a drive-by swing? He commits so hard. Oh, you didn't like that, huh, buddy? Is this the play? Did I underestimate this move's abilities? Oh, I didn't do it. Oh, God. Of course. Of course. So salty. Stop being mad, bro. Should I heal or should I try for the revive? Ah. It's better be safe here. Meow. So basically just run away. Hold, sprint, and run away from everything you do after you do it. Ah! See? No special dashes. Yes! No dashes. Because the dash actually staggers you. I mean, I guess a dash. See, even dash into a sprint. Unless you're already sprinting. We did it! Get wrecked! Patience. Patience and stubbornness. Patience and stubbornness have a very fine line between the two. And that gives us 4 out of 4, right? Yep. Who do I give it to? Her? Or do I do it? Wait, how do I do this?
I'm glad you've come, Master Wolf.
He dropped a bead.
Goodbye.
Chica's gourd seeds. I think I do the beads here? I forget. I hear you. Attack power! Oh, come on. Prayer beads. It's basically vitality and posture. So my defense, maximum defense. Which now, if you see how big my health bar is, I feel like I actually have to go for this one. This gourd. So that having this vitality isn't wasted in the fact that I have to drink 2 gourds to get it refilled. Rather, I drink this gourd and then maybe it's 2/3, 3/4, 4/5. But man, 5, that's a tall order. I have 0, all that fighting. I know you lose money. I'm not sure if you lose skill points. I feel like you don't, but I could be mistaken. Well, that's all she wrote for tonight. I think I will... I'm not sure where I'm actually supposed to go from here. Not sure. Because there was that guy, I guess, further up the stairs from the main gate. I didn't even eavesdrop up there. Yeah. Go to sleep, feel better. Yeah, I'm feeling a little like it's warming up. I'm warming up. So I'll take more medicine. Hopefully be good for tomorrow. I'll see if I feel like playing more of this or switching it up and playing some more Satisfactory maybe. Or maybe another game. There's been a couple games that have been updated, a couple games I've been keeping my eye on as far as being interested in playing. I have to remind myself which games those are though. And yeah. I'm out of here, guys. Peace. Thanks for hanging out with me, as always.